Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Congressional Western Caucus Chairman's Chat. Today, I'm just delighted to have a great friend join me, Mr. Pete Stauber from Minnesota's 8th Congressional District, which I've been to, so I know exactly where it is, northern Minnesota. Beautiful place. A little chilly in the winter, I'm just saying, but it's a beautiful place, and thank you for having us up there to visit and see firsthand what's going on. Pete is Natural Resources Subcommittee Chairman for Minerals and, you tell me?
Energy and Minerals Resources.
Energy and Minerals Resources. And we're just happy to have you here on Chairman's Chat to talk something about that. Tell us why that subcommittee, what you're doing and why it's important to our listeners.
Well, I think, first off, thanks for coming to the district. We bought the Natural Resources group there. And for me, for those of you who don't know, or those of your listeners that don't know, the Iron Range in Minnesota mines the iron ore, makes taconite, that makes over 80% of the steel in this country. And we've been mining in northern Minnesota, Dan, for over 145 years. We know how to do it. We have the resources there. We have the best environmental, best labor standards, and I'm very proud of that. And so, for me, being on the Energy and Minerals Resources, so all oil and gas, wind and solar, and mining come through the committee that I chair. And so mining is in particular specific to northeastern Minnesota. So we have a great grasp on it. We have good legislation that we're committed to make sure that we can develop the resources here in this country under the best labor and environmental standards in the world.
So the Iron Range, this particular area of Minnesota, has kind of become a target for environmental activists. And you talked a little bit about this, but explain to our listeners what the importance of the Iron Range is. You said 80% of the iron steel comes from the taconite.
80% of the steel making in this country is because of the iron ore that we've mined in northeastern Minnesota. Wow. And we've been doing it for years, right? And so not only are we need to expand iron ore mining because we have the ore body, and we're not only going to expand the iron ore mining as I just stated, but we're going to now in northeastern Minnesota, Dan, and for your listeners, we've discovered what we call the Duluth Complex. It's the biggest untapped copper nickel find in the world.
Really?
It's copper, nickel, cobalt, and other platinum group metals that we need in our everyday lives and we use in our everyday lives. So to have the biggest untapped copper nickel find in the district that I represent, excuse me, we're trying to open that up with mine plans of operations. These mining companies have come and wanted to mine this, but listen, they're running into roadblocks from anti-mining groups, anti-job groups.
Right. So, one of the big topics around here is permitting reform efforts. And I would think this is going to touch this new find here. We've got these critical minerals that we need for all of the modern technological advances moving into the future. So talk a little bit about what your efforts are around permit reform.
Well, let's talk about critical minerals for just a moment, Dan. Critical minerals in the geopolitical space around the world, if communist China stops selling us their critical minerals, we are in deep trouble, right? And so the permitting reform is really important to be able to permit these mines in a timely fashion without degrading our environment or our labor standards. And we can do it. In Minnesota, we've shown we can do it. Now, with that being said, excuse me.
No, you're fine.
With that being said, it is unconscionable that the average time it takes to open up a mine in the United States is 29 years.
Wow, 29 years.
Yeah, we have one company working in its 21st year of permitting back home, and one company in its 14th year. And that's not just talking about Minnesota. That's across the country. There's mines that we can open up to help secure our supply chain, and it's to just delay lawsuits, etc. So permitting reform is a key, and I do believe in the next Congress, that we're going to look at permitting reform 2.0 to make it timely and certain. And we can do that. We can make the mining to be timely and certain for the investments without removing any labor or environmental standards. We can do it.
So we've got environmental activists, challenges with permits. Talk about judicial review and that.
Yes. So I really believe that when you have federal and state standards in place, and you have met or exceeded those standards, you ought to be able to complete the project and start mining. What happens is lawsuits come in. People that didn't even comment during the public comment period, lawsuits. Excuse me, and that's an industry now. That's an industry to stop projects. Lawyers are making a lot of money stopping these projects and bringing them to the courts. And we want to look at the removal of judicial review. Once they've met all the criteria, they had to be able to move forward in mine. And so judicial review is something that we're really seriously talking about and want to remove, because in fact, if you talk to these mining companies that want to mine not only in Minnesota but anywhere in the country, they actually talk about the delays on lawsuits and the delays on lawsuits, 6 to 10, 15 years on delay because of lawsuits. And that's all money. And sometimes we believe, and they do too, that it's a way to completely shut down mining to exhaust the financial resources into the investment in the mine.
Just wear them down so they give up.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, this is, we talk about a lot of things. Being a farmer, I talk about the fact that our food production capabilities, that's a matter of national security. Certainly, as you mentioned, if we're dependent on foreign sources for all of these minerals, especially if they're not friendly to the United States, that certainly, wouldn't you say, is an issue of national security?
Without question, Dan, you're exactly right. Right now, this administration has memorandums of understanding to purchase critical minerals from the Congo, where 15 of the 19 industrial mines are owned by the Chinese Communist Party that use child slave labor in mining that cobalt, for example, that makes the batteries, etc., for traditional or additional energy. And so we have to hold the destiny of this country in the palm of our own hands. We cannot rely on communist China or adversarial nations, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It is putting us in a dangerous situation.
Wow. That is a very precarious situation. So Pete, appreciate you being with me today, sharing a little bit about the work on your subcommittee of natural resources on energy and minerals. I didn't realize it was so expansive, the responsibilities that you have. So as we close the interview, any thoughts you'd like to share to our listeners, things that you're
I think that
concerned with?
Dan, our economic, energy, border, foreign policy has to change. This administration has been devastating in so many areas, and we have an opportunity this November to change the direction of this country for prosperity and peace, etc. But before we close, I want to thank you for your leadership in the Western Caucasus. You have been a steadfast leader. You are a member that we can count on, and your great state is in good hands with you at the helm. I appreciate our relationship. I appreciate you again leading this caucus. In that natural resources space, Dan, as you know, we're underutilized. We have such an opportunity in this country, and I see you fighting for the residents in Washington. You are the type of person that we need in Congress, and I just want to appreciate your friendship and your leadership.
Thank you, Pete. And right back at you. You're a strong voice for people in Minnesota. For these issues, I can't think of anybody that's more passionate about our future as it relates to the minerals that we need, the energy that we need. So thank you very much for representing the people of the 8th District of Minnesota. As Subcommittee Chairman for Energy and Minerals.
Energy and Mineral Resources.
Energy and Mineral Resources. That's one that we're all going to get get to know really well, because these are critical issues that we've got to solve. So thank you for being with me
You're
today.
welcome.
Appreciate it very much.
You bet.
So thank you for joining us for the latest edition of the Congressional Western Caucus Chairman's Chat. We'll see you next time.